Oh, hello. It's so good to see
Hello.
you.
You too.
I am obsessed with this sweater you have on right now. I love
Thank you.
those details. Oh,
Got some
amazing.
bell sleeves.
Oh my gosh, you should be holding a glass of like Prosecco at a Christmas party right now. And
Right?
thank you. I know you are super busy. I mean, you are a nurse practitioner and you are out saving lives and helping people. So just being able to squeeze in some time and being able to chat with you today is super amazing.
Thank you so much. And I know you're busy as well. But thank you. I appreciate those kind
I
words.
figured we would just get to chatting about some fun things that we have in store. And I have some surprises for you too. So I'll announce
Ooh,
that a little bit later.
awesome.
But yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to our audience, introduce what you do. I just wanted to kind of open the floor and let people know what you do on this platform and how you got to where you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I am type 1 diabetic. I've been diabetic since the age of 3. My little background, my parents were vacationing and I was staying with my aunt and uncle. And I just couldn't get enough water. My aunt said I was climbing on top of the bathroom sink and I was just like
Oh,
shoveling water in my mouth. And she called my parents. And back then there weren't cell phones, so I don't know how she got in touch with them. So she called them and she's like, "You got to hurry back. There's something wrong. I think, you got to take her to the hospital." So my parents rushed back. We went to a local hospital in Baltimore, Maryland, where I was living.
yeah.
And they said to my parents, "We are diagnosing her with type 1 diabetes. She will need insulin for the rest of her life." And from that moment on, of course,
Yeah.
the lives of my parents completely changed. But they adapted and they raised me to not be ashamed of my disease. And
Yeah.
they wanted me to live a life just like my siblings who don't have diabetes. So they never necessarily treated me different. If I wanted that cupcake at the birthday party, I would dose for it and I would eat the cupcake. So I am so thankful that that is kind of how they parented. And, diabetes doesn't need to be, a roadblock for people.
I'm guessing having to be so in tune with your health is that part of why you entered medicine, and what is your connection to being a pediatric nurse practitioner on top of that?
Yes, I definitely think that being diagnosed had some sort of influence on my career choice.
Yeah.
My dad was in the medical field. He was a pharmacist, so I don't know if I was kind of like destined to go that route or not, but maybe diabetes just put me over the edge in choosing that career choice. Pediatrics, I've always loved working with children. Maybe being diagnosed at a young age and having such a great care team influenced that as well.
Yeah.
I've only done pediatrics. I love kids. I can't imagine working with adults, to be quite honest.
I love kids too. They just make everything brighter.
Totally.
So sweet. First, I figured let's do a little stick with it. We'll do our blood sugar check.
Awesome.
And then we can kind of get into the details of what inspired you to write your book and some fun stuff like that. So
Awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and get my stuff out.
Me too.
Perfect.
I've got my fancy sparkling water in a wine glass.
Yes. I love it. I've got the rest of my coffee here.
Love it.
Perfect. All right. Let's see.
I've been actually checking my blood sugar a decent amount today because
Really?
my Dexcom stopped working. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, so I love always having my device here.
Yeah, it's always good to have a backup. That is for sure. I am 132. That's
I'm
pretty-
125.
Oh, perfect.
We're not far off from each other.
No, we're not. So tell me a little bit about kind of your experience with Genteel, especially having a background in the medical field. What were some of maybe your preconceived ideas about the product, and what were some of your impressions after you got to use it?
Yeah, so I think it's a great idea. When I first was introduced to the product, I don't remember who I spoke with from the company, but they said, what are your thoughts on the product, and do you find that, finger sticks will eventually be obsolete? And I said,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Even in today's modern world of technology, I still check my blood sugar relatively frequently.
Yeah.
I know the FDA has approved dosing based on your CGM, specifically Dexcom numbers, but I still personally feel more comfortable having that number, knowing specifically what it is before dosing. Because I have had those times where my CGM was significantly off, and that could cause a dosing error and either cause a low or high blood sugar.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love that you can, there's the different settings as far as the depth, which is awesome, because if you've had diabetes as long as I have, you've got some tough skin.
Yeah.
So it's great. I carry it with me. I love it. And I don't think that finger pricks will be obsolete.
Yeah. I feel like being more sensitive to how your body feels when you're low or high, that's something that comes out of checking manually often.
Yeah.
So I think that's just an important kind of sense to have too. So I'm glad that it works for you.
Yeah, me too.
Well, let's get on to Is My Best Friend a Robot? I have my copy right here.
Yay!
Just kind of give a little, first of all, what inspired you to write it? Had you ever thought of writing a book before? How did this come to fruition? And, maybe a little snippet of the story.
Yeah, so it's always been on my bucket list to write a children's book, and there was no better time but quarantine to start doing that. I think a lot of us found ourselves doing things we probably wouldn't have done during quarantine, taking up different hobbies.
Totally.
So I've always wanted to write a children's book, and I felt like there weren't that many great children's books specifically about type 1 diabetes when I was, first diagnosed. It can be a very isolating disease when nobody else with type 1. I was the only kid in my neighborhood. I was the only kid at my school for elementary, middle, and high with type 1. So I think it's important for, not only type 1 diabetics, the main character does have type 1, but for any kid with an underlying, whether it's an illness, a disease, or some sort of difference, a birthmark, asthma, anything, to feel, included, and that it's okay to be different, and that we should be proud of those differences. And as outsiders, it's good to ask questions when if you see somebody, instead of staring, ask questions. Hey, what is that on your arm? Is it an insulin pump? What is it?
Yeah. And you can't know things if you don't ask. And I love the message. I love the illustration, which you can kind of elaborate on how you got help with that. It's just such a positive message that's so digestible for kids to understand. I love
Thank
that.
You.
So I'll let you kind of expand on the illustration.
Yeah. So my cousin, she's a jack of all trades. She's an artist. She's a dancer. She's a singer. She's an editor. So she was able to do the illustrations for me, and they came out exactly how I wanted them to. At the very end, this is my favorite page, is we're all different. Some differences are easy to see while others are not. And it's just a very inclusive image. There's a little bit of everything. And this is another one of my favorite pages when they're playing the game of robots, where they're defeating the bad, what I call the cinnamon or insulin pumps.
Yeah.
Robots. She was awesome to work with, and she nailed my vision perfectly.
That's amazing. Well, I did say I have a little bit of a surprise for you, and the surprise is the last week of December, anyone who purchases a Genteel device, we're going to be purchasing one of your books and sending it to them.
Oh my God.
So we're really excited to share your work. Of course. I mean, like, what a better time to send a message like this. It's always needed, but like when holidays are around, that's one of the times where it can be so difficult to feel included or feel like you're not having to do something different than everyone else. And so we thought it would just be perfect. Whether you roll it up and put it in a stuffing or a stocking as a stocking if you want to, or you can just give it to just someone who you think needs it this season. So I'll send you the details about that after.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
To touch on what you said, the holidays are always a difficult time because they're always surrounded by food, right?
Yeah.
So that can absolutely be a difficult time for a diabetic.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, you had parents who were able to empower you to have what you want to have and just know how to treat for it. And not everyone has that kind of culture or that frame of mind when it comes to diabetes management. So being able to kind of get that and conceptualize that elsewhere is key. The other thing I wanted to make sure I bring up is that we did want to, at some point, and you and I can hash this out later, but do an IG Live and have you maybe do a little bit of a read aloud, whether it's the full book or half the book. Yeah. I know you're busy, so we'll figure out timing. I would love to have you share that. And yeah, I'm just super excited to bring your work to more people, and just really happy to hear that Genteel has been helpful for you in your management. Yes,
for sure. Absolutely. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you guys so much. But yes, no, I do. I love it. I suggest it for my patients because we deal with enough finger pricks and, needle jabs that, we deserve to have something that makes it a little less uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why get used to something that's painful if you don't have to get used to it? I mean, It's one less thing to have to worry about. So Thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to see your face and your smile.
You too.
And we will cheers here. I'm just going to blink the camera.
Blink.
All right. Happy holidays.
You too. Happy holidays. Stay warm, and I'll chat with you soon.
Yes. All right. Talk to you later, Mandi.
Bye.
Bye.